So, hey everybody, it's Suzanne here for our latest installment of Meet the Maker. And this is a really fun and special one that's near and dear to my heart because we're connecting with Lisa Linard, who is an old friend, and not old, but long time friend and client that we had lost touch for many years. And then through the power of social media and that amazing, it's like the Boston Women's Networking Group, kind of saw each other commenting on there, and we're like, Lisa was like, wait a minute. So glad that we reconnected that way. That's a really powerful, awesome, supportive group. And come to find out, Lisa has a business that's extremely complementary to our business, and she has so much to offer to our clients. So I'm super excited to have a chance to talk to you, Lisa, and have our network get to know you. So again, this is Lisa Linard. Her business is she's a professional organizer and move manager. So we're going to hear all about that. But again, I mean, it's a service for people that are not only, moving out of their houses, but also moving into their houses. And maybe you've been there a long time and you just need somebody to come in. Like I was joking, I need her to come work on my little office space here, but maybe you've been in your home for a while and you just need somebody with fresh eyes to come in and really help you to make the most use of the space. So Lisa, thank you for connecting and for being here. So tell us more about your background and your business and how you got into this very kind of specialized area.
Sure. Thanks for having me. It's so nice to see you again after 17 years or whatever.
I know.
Crazy. So I help people who are overwhelmed with their stuff. I help them get their homes in order so they can feel more peaceful and be more productive. And I also help people who are going through a life transition, like moving, downsizing, moving into assisted living. So my background, I'm a marketer by, nature and education and experience. I worked at a large corporation for over 20 years doing marketing, and I was made redundant, as my British company said, in 2018. And I was actually really excited to have an opportunity to start something new. So I'm a very organized person, always have been. A bunch of people said to me, you should try professional organizing. And I didn't know that was a thing. So I was super excited about that. Did a lot of research. I joined NAPO, which is the National Association of Organizing and Productivity Professionals, and just started learning more about it, doing work for other organizers, taking on pro bono nonprofit clients and friends. And then in 2019, I launched my business and love it. It's been great ever since.
That's awesome. And I love those stories when it's kind of like, maybe a door is closing and then it's really kind of frees you up to do what your natural acumen and your true passion is. It's so different, right? Being self-employed versus working in a big corporation. And I love those stories. And again, especially if it's something that you feel so naturally, like, you're so naturally drawn to it and good at it.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite part about it? What do you love the most about it?
I love working with individuals and making their lives better. I love how happy everyone is at the end of every session. So many people call me and they're like at their wits' end and they're really embarrassed and ashamed to call me and they feel like they're failures. And I just tell them they're normal, that we can do it together. I come in and I try to make it fun. I try to make it easy. And they're always so relieved at the end of every session, and they're shocked at how fast we get through it. They're shocked at how easy it is, and I can make it fun. I can make it low stress. I can do all the physical labor that they don't want to do. I can take away their stuff and take it to different charities. So they're just really, they're just happy. And I love that. Like I said, I work for a big company and nobody at the end of the day was like, oh, we love working with you. You've changed our lives. So I really like helping, regular people every day.
So yeah, making that impact, because it is, I was going to say, you're part therapist, I imagine, and you are like, I'll find myself sometimes in a situation where I'm like, I'm in somebody's master bathroom. I mean, it's a very trusted position to be welcomed into people's sort of most inner sanctuary. And especially if there's maybe, some other type of self-perceived, embarrassment or, it's a sacred place to be.
Yeah.
It just must really free people. Like when you come in and really help them to see things differently, and they must just feel such a sense of freedom, and you feel such a sense of accomplishment, which is
Yeah.
so awesome. What's been the biggest surprise to you? Like, would it be good or bad? What's been something that you're like, oh, I didn't quite think about
How dirty I would get
that?
and how dirty my car would be. I mean, I am in people's basements. I'm pulling things out of cabinets and closets that haven't been opened in decades. And I'm always dusty at the end of every session. I'm always carting away donations. So my car's always full of stuff. And how physical it is. I was used to sitting in front of a laptop for 10 hours a day in my old job. And now I'm like driving around, I'm climbing up and down stairs all day. And so the physical nature of it was more than I expected. And I really like it because I missed that for 20 years.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like that sort of like intrinsic feeling of accomplishment when you've done, like, I look back to, like, farmers. It's like
Yeah.
when you're actually like bone tired because you did something physical, it's such a great feeling.
Yeah.
And not being chained to a desk. And
Mhm.
what really strikes me is how much like you are rolling up your sleeves. Like, so you're not just saying, okay, put this here, do that. Here's a list, like, see you later. You're
Right.
physically, making that sort of vision come to life, which I think is very unusual. I've worked with some organizers in the past who've been awesome, with clients and things like that. And I maybe have seen some get involved, but it sounds like you really are there for the whole transition.
Yeah, it makes it go so fast. Like when you're organizing or sorting things, you get up and you take things other places and you come back and you get distracted. And so when I'm there, I'll say like, okay, you do this. I'm going to go carry these things over here and put them over, put them in your pantry or whatever. And it really makes it go a lot faster.
That's awesome. And the whole donation thing, I mean, that's another win-win. Instead of just
Yeah.
storing things out, you're finding, good homes for it.
Yeah.
So where are you living, and what's sort of the geographical area for your business?
I'm in Reading, Massachusetts, north of Boston. I work all over greater Boston. For some reason, well, I know why, because I partnered with some realtors down in Chestnut Hill. I got a
Awesome.
lot of clients down there and in Brookline, in the Back Bay. I've done Southern New Hampshire in some cases. So I will go pretty much, I would say within like 45 minutes of Boston.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
And tell us how, say, someone like myself or one of my buyer agents might engage you versus a homeowner or a direct client. Kind of what are those two areas look like?
Yeah, so the move management, realtors like to call me in because they will have clients who are saying, I want to get my house on the market by April 1st, and they've got 30 years of stuff, like their kids' stuff they've inherited from their parents. Their house is like packed to the gills. And a lot of times people say they can go through it and then they get into it and they get super overwhelmed and paralyzed. And so realtors will often say to me, like, well, they said it was going to be done. And I went back in and nothing's happened.
Right,
So,
right.
I have some realtors I work with who are proactive and they will actually offer 3 hours of my time as like a gift to their client. And that really helps them because it makes sure that there's going to be progress made in the house. And I not only do decluttering, but like you said, I remove things. I can do staging, light staging. I'll bring in some accessories. I don't have like furniture like a professional home stager does, but I can rearrange their stuff. I can, edit. I know what the best practices are for making a house look good in the photos. And I do partner with realtors and home stagers. So if a realtor brings me in, I check in with them at the end of every session, check in on timing. What do you want me to focus on next? So it's a really great partnership. And I think it helps everyone. It helps you guys, it helps the clients. And then they're less overwhelmed when they, get to their new house or when the
Yeah,
moving goes up.
absolutely. Because I feel like, so many times I see people that just end up moving stuff because they haven't had time. So they throw it all in boxes, and then it kind of like just, you know, gets worse when they get to the, and now they've paid someone to move it, and now they still
Yes.
have that sense of overwhelm where, I mean, I joke all the time, but I'm like, there's something so cathartic about moving, because you're really like, do I want this? Am I going to pay to move it or store it or whatever, or not? And it
Yep.
just gives you a time. Like last night, I was looking at my bedside table. I have like so many books piled up there, and I was like, what if like in 10 years I've never touched these again? Like it was just a weird feeling of like, oh, like I
Yeah,
need to go, because I think part of why I feel like your services are so valuable is none of us can see the forest through the trees, right? So when
yeah,
it's your own stuff, it's very different. Even with we have a stager that we work with a lot locally that goes in, and just does a staging consultation, which is awesome. Um, and even when she sold her own house, I was like, we need to bring in an outside stager because when it's your own house and your own stuff, it's just so different. And it's so
yeah,
important to get that sort of outside perspective and get somebody that really knows, can kind of cut through and get to the root of whatever it is, maybe why they want to hold on to something. And, maybe they keep it and there's a place for it in a new house, certainly. And you
yeah,
can help them.
yeah.
So I think you were telling me you actually look at like sort of like their floor, like, so you'll know where they're going. And
Mhm.
so it's really helping them streamline and then make them move so much more
Right. Yeah.
straightforward.
Yeah. 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 I can help. I can do space planning. I've got kind of background in design. My dad was a home builder. We were always
Oh,
going to
cool.
open houses, so I have that kind of in my blood and I love it. And I have a good spatial sense where I can look at something and say, yeah, that's not going to fit. So that's helpful, I think, when people are trying to decide. I've got clients now who have so much amazing furniture and they've got tons of it in the basement because they don't have space for it in their house now.
Right.
Planning to downsize. So I said, if you don't have a place for it now and you're moving to a smaller place, you're not going to have really any place for it there. So
Like,
we
do
have to
you
make some
really love it?
decisions.
Yeah.
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 What do
How
you
much
love the
do you
best?
really
Yeah.
love it? So tell us about life in Reading. I mean, what do you have a favorite restaurant or a favorite place to go hiking, or what's your life like there?
Yeah, Reading's great. It's such a there's so many great small businesses here, and the chamber, and it's just a really nice place to live. It's hard for me to think of restaurants because of COVID. We haven't been
I
able to go.
know.
We like Zuka a lot. We love Public Kitchen in Wakefield, Peppercorn House in Woburn, Faux Paris in Saugus. We do a lot of takeout during COVID. We like to go to Breakheart, hike around there.
Nice.
We've got family in Gloucester, so we spend a lot of time in Gloucester, all around the North Shore. It's just great. I love it here.
So lucky. And we're having like actual spring this year, which I don't think we've had in years, and definitely brightening people's day. So again, we have you can work with realtors, you can work with homeowners, downsizers, and again, maybe there's not even a move involved, but
Yeah,
especially I feel like one thing that came up so much this past year was people really having to, have their space function in many different ways. So now all of a sudden, your family room is two offices and a school room. And, I think a lot of people were relooking at their space.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
there's a lot of different capacities in which, it's not just the move, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I always tell people, there's not one right way to organize your space. So, and it can always change. So as your life changes and as, COVID, the world opens back up or whatever, do what works for you in the moment. And then when it stops working, change it. Nothing's finite. It doesn't have to look like a magazine. It just has to work for you. I'm all about like, think about how you use it, think about what doesn't work and stop doing what doesn't work and then find
Yeah,
the things that do work until they stop working and then find another way.
that's awesome. And do you have one special, like, is there at least a secret you can tell us? Like, what's your, like some one thing that maybe we could each do in our daily life that would make our lives a little bit more organized? Any advice
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I mean, I do a little bit every day. I'm constantly like looking around my house. Is there something I'm not using anymore? I'm going to toss it in the Goodwill box, or rearranging my kitchen cabinets because I realize that I'm having a hard time reaching that thing that I use all the time. And so, if you do a little bit every day, pick things up as you go up the stairs. If you're going from one room to
Mhm.
another, grab that crummy lunch plate and take it down to the
Mhm.
kitchen. And then it doesn't become a project. A lot of people just put it off and put it off, and they say, I'm going to spend all day Saturday doing this. And like, that's who wants to do that? Nobody wants to
Right.
do that. So just, the other thing I like to say in my own house with my own family is, complete the circle. If you start something, if you're making a sandwich, get out all the stuff, and while it's in the toaster oven, whatever, put everything back. And when you're done, put your plate in the dishwasher. Don't do it halfway. And then, it's done. And it's not something you're going to have to deal with later. I think I sound
Come
like,
talk to my kids. That'd be
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and I gotta say, like the whole homeschooling, thank goodness, schools are getting back and all that. But it was a whole, like I go to I have a 13-year-old daughter, and it was like a frat room in there. I'm like, what? Wait, how many bowls of cereal? Like, what is happening? It was like a dark hole. And she's so funny because she's like, I'm organized. And she is like, she tries to keep things, but it's just, you're there, and it quickly can get out of control when there's a lot of people home all the time. It's like,
yeah. I do actually have one other piece of advice if you live with a family, especially with kids. I used to get upset when I would like put things on the stairs and nobody would carry them up, or, people didn't do things the way I wanted to. And I just decided, instead of changing them, I'm going to change myself. I'm going to change my expectations. I'm either going to say, I don't care, or I'm just going to do it. Like, who cares if I carry a plate down to the sink, whatever. I don't think that the kids are going to grow up to be like horrible people because they carried their lunch plate down, So it's really about, compromise and being forgiven and adjusting your expectations.
That's very good advice. You're right. You're absolutely right. And just like let go and free yourself. So that's awesome advice. Well, thank you so much. And is there anything, coming forward, now that things are starting to open back up and whatnot, like anything in your business this year that you're really excited that's kind of coming down the horizon?
Yeah, I'm excited at how many houses are getting listed, and that, it's such a great seller's market right now, because I love to help people get ready to sell their homes. I also am looking forward to doing some in-house like group things. Like I did a workshop last year called Tidy Up Your Junk Drawer, and people actually brought their junk drawers to the wedding, and we did a little lesson on how to organize, and it was so fun. And so I thought, instead of doing that, out and about, I would love to do that in people's houses, invite me over and we'll have a little organizing party. And, so I'm going to get that lined up. So
that's a super fun idea. I love that. So obviously we're going to have all of your contact information available, so, folks can reach out to you. And I'd love to, again, talk with you, offline about, something to do together going forward. I think that would be great, in terms of seminars, and obviously, we'll be bringing you into our clients' homes. And I find, it could be anybody, but I definitely think that downsizers in particular, it can be a real stumbling block. Like, they just don't know where to start. So when there's somebody else that's sort of like, hey, we're going to break this down and it's bite-sized pieces, and maybe you're getting their kids involved and whatnot. It's just like knowing where to start, and knowing that you have that. You're like the Sherpa for guiding them through the journey. So it's such a great business, Lisa. And I think you're just naturally awesome at it. So
thank you. Thanks.
So thank you so much for your time. It was awesome to reconnect with you, and look forward to seeing you in person, because things are getting better.
So soon. Well, thanks for having me. This is great.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Right back at you. Take care, Lisa.